Okay guys, today we're going to be doing the skills review for Illustrator Unit E, and it's going to be working with gradients, creating gradients, formatting text, creating some drop shadows, and placing some images. Okay, so I need you guys to open up the data file E2, and we're going to save it as green. Let's save it to the cloud, file, save as, save to the cloud, and it's going to be green. Underscore AI dash E. I'm just columning 2 because I've done a couple of these already. All right, great. So we're going to click the selection tool. We're going to click our orange circle, and I'm going to expand my layers panel because that's how I do. I like to see everything. And we want to choose a linear gradient. So let's open our swatches panel. And if you don't see this, remember you can get to it from the Windows panel. Once you have swatches open, I'm going to click on this Show Swatch Kinds. I'm going to choose Gradients. Directions want us to choose the linear gradient right here, and you hover over it, you can see it. And then we also want to take a look at the gradient panel. I have it sitting down here. If you do not, Windows Gradient, okay? All right, from the gradient panel, we're going to change the gradient to radial. All right, there's radial. And now let's change the colors of our gradient. So here's our white stop and our black stop. So we are going to do this. I'm going to choose the first color stop, which is right here. And we are going to change this to black. So I'm going to double click, choose black. Right, click black on swatches. And now I'm going to click on my second color stop over here. And we are going to change it to a dark green. So I'm going to double click. And the dark green I want is 90, 30, 95, 30. 90, 30, 95, 30. Great. Swatches panel. And now I'm going to, once I position my mouse right below the slider, see how there's a little plus sign? That means I can add another color stop. So I'm just going to go ahead and click right down here to add a middle color stop. And we're going to change this to a lime green. So I'm going to double click it. And the lime green I'm going to choose is 50, 0, 100, 0. There we go. And I'm going to change the location. I've got my middle color stop selected. I'm going to change the location to 86. Let's see what that looks like. And then I hit Tab. All right, so now my gradient looks a little bit like that because I can see my middle color stop slid all the way over. All right, but now we're going to change it back to about 55. All right, so you can actually put the location in or you can type 55, whatever floats your boat. Just going to do that. There we go. And now we're going to save this gradient, and it's going to be called green radial. So in order to save this gradient, we come up to our swatches panel, new swatch. And green radial. All right, so now you can see we have it saved. Let's go ahead and save our work. All right, moving on, let's create some text. So let's make sure we can see the entire artboard. So I'm going to say View, Fit Artboard in the window. And I'm going to choose, what am I doing here? I'm sorry. We're going to type green. So I'm going to choose my type tool. I'm going to type the word green in caps. All right, I'm going to click my selection tool. So now my text is selected. And now if I come up to the type menu up top here, and then I want to show the character panel, which I already have the character panel open actually. I made a mistake. There's supposed to be window, and then type, and then character. I already have mine showing. All right, so here's my character panel. And we're going to change the font to Times New Roman Regular. So I'm just going to go ahead and type it. It's easier for me to type it. There it is, Times New Roman. And we're going to change the font size to be 146. So it's a good bit larger. I hit Tab. There we go, nice and big. And now we're going to change the kerning, okay? So if I click on my type tool over here, and I click in between the G and R, I can change the kerning, the spacing between these two. So if I hover over, is it this one, I believe? Yep. Set the kerning between two characters, right? So between the G and R, I'm going to change it to -25. I hit Tab, and it squishes them together. So we're going to do the same thing between the two E's. -25. And between the E and the N. Great. Let's go ahead and save it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit my selection tool now. Make sure my green text is selected. Now I'm going to choose the type menu. I'm going to say Create Outlines. All right. I'm going to click that green radial gradient that we chose. All right, so I still have my swatches panel open. Here's the green radial that we created. All right, so now our green radial is in our text. Okay. But now let's come back down to our gradient panel, and this time we're going to choose linear. Let's change the location of our middle color stop to 60%. So we can, I'm just going to type it easier for me. Okay. And I'm going to change the color to be, let's say our first color stop is going to be a light gray. So I'm going to double click our first color stop. And it's going to be 00010. There we go. And the last color stop is going to be white. Okay, so we got like a light gray, green to white. And now let's see how do we get our gradient to do what we want it to do. So I'm going to choose gradient over here. And I'm going to draw my gradient from here to here. All right. Right, so you can see it's going from light gray to green to white, just like our gradient shows over here. But we're actually going to have it go vertical. So let's try going from the top of the R to the bottom of the R. There we go. Great. So it's gray, green, white. All right, now let's go ahead and save that new gradient. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to our swatches, new swatch, and we are going to call this green linear. Okay. Let's make sure that's saved properly, which I don't believe it did actually, so let's come back over here. I think I'm going to try that again. Deselect everything. Now I'm going to hit new swatch. Green linear copy, sure. That's fine. Bottom line is that I should have my green linear in here. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and make a drop shadow for this text. So I'm going to use the selection tool. I'm going to select my green text. And we're going to copy it and paste in back. So edit, copy, edit, paste in back, and we can see on our layers panel, there we go. And we're going to fill it with black. So fill this black. All right. And then I'm going to go back over to my layers panel because I can see better. And now we're going to pop it down 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And over to the left, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Now let's deselect it. Now let's select the green that's got the green gradient right here. And we're going to say paste in front. We already have it copied to the clipboard, so we're going to say edit, paste in front, right? So now we've got 2 green ones and 1 black one. And we're going to hide it. So we have to go up to Object, Hide, Selection. Okay. Now we're going to select our green one, fill it with black again. Or this one, we're going to fill this one with black as well. So now we'll have 2 that are filled with black. Now we're going to blend them together. So let's select them both. And now we're going to use our blend tool. Make sure we have specified steps selected. And we're going to make this 256. So this means that I've got 256 layers between the bottom black layer and the top black layer. And we hit OK. And then we're going to go Object, Blend, Make. All right. Now let's show everything. Let's click out of here. Oops. Let's click out of here. See how it looks like it's a little bit more 3D, kind of like, looks much better now, right? So we'll say Object. And we're going to say Show All. So now we have our green layer on top. Looks pretty cool. And let's give our green layer a stroke. So I'm going to click on our green layer. We're going to give a 0.75 black stroke. So 0.75. By default, it gave it a black stroke. And we're just going to go ahead and move it over. We're going to group it, and then we're going to move it over. So let's select all 3 of those layers, group them together, Object, Group, so that they don't get separated. And let's just move it over in front here. Great. So now we're going to work with placing an image in. So let's make sure our text is selected still. We're going to hide it. Hide selection. Oops. I think I hid too much there. Maybe I'll do it from over here. Click that. Now hide it. Object, Hide, Selection. Now let's select our red circle, and we're going to copy and paste it in front, and then we're going to hide the copy. So copy, paste in front, and then we're going to hide what we just pasted. All right, and you can see that we have it hidden. Now we're going to place a globe in here. So File, Place. Where's the place? Browse to your silver globe PSD file and just place it somewhere over here on the left-hand side. All right, we're going to click Edit on the menu. We're going to say Cut, and then we're going to say, we're going to click the circle, the red circle, and we're going to say Edit, Paste in Back. All right, because we want that globe to be on the layer below the red circle, as we can see. Okay. Now let's get the red circle and move it over the globe, just like that. And we're going to create a clipping mask. Oops, I don't like that. I like it to be nice. Perfect. So we'll select both now. Now we're going to do a quick clipping mask so that globe pops through. Beautiful. And now let's drag our globe over here. Voila. And we can save our work. All right, so now that we have our globe over our circle here, we're going to apply a radial gradient. So let's show everything. So I'm going to come up to the Object menu and say Show All. Great. And then we're going to just click the artboard to deselect everything. And then we're going to select the little red circle right here. All right, so on our gradient panel, all right, over here is our gradient panel. Let's click our right, let's see here. Oops, let me undo that. We're going to click the radial gradient swatch on the swatches panel first, actually. Sorry about that. All right, so our gradient swatches, we're going to choose our radial gradient right here. Now we can come down to our gradient panel, and we're going to click on the black color stop, which is the one on the right, and we're going to change it to a medium green. So I'm going to double click. And the green is going to be 75, 0, 100, 0. Let's see. Maybe this one. 75, 0, 100, 0. Beautiful. And then we're going to go to the swatches panel, and we're going to save this as green sphere. So come up here. New swatch. Let's try this again. New swatch. Green sphere. All right, and there is our green sphere showing. Let's save our work. All right, now we're going to make, excuse the alerts. We're going to work with the transparency menu. So let's go up to Window and make sure you have transparency panel showing, which I already do over here. And then I'm going to choose this green inner circle. So, so as long as I have the selection tool selected, I'm going to select my green circle here. And let's change this opacity to 0. Let's see what happens to it when I choose 0. I'm going to hit Tab. Right? So it basically does nothing. But if I change this to 25%, so therefore it's just like a light shade. So you can play around with your opacity, but we're going to leave it at 25% for this purpose. All right, now what we want to do is we want to create text that goes around the circle. And the way we do that is we use the Type on Path tool. So we have our inner circle selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to move it over. So we're going to move a copy of it over. So I'm going to go to Object, Transform, and Move, or you could use the shortcut Shift-Control-M. And I'm going to say horizontally negative 5.5, and vertically is going to be 0. But I don't want to actually move it all the way over here. I just want to create a copy of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy. There we go. And now we're going to type on this path. So if I hold down our type tool, excuse me, I can choose the Type on Path tool. And I want to click on it right around 11 o'clock. So I got 9, 10, 11. We're going to say 11 is right about up here. Right? I'm going to click there. And now my text is going around the circular path, right? All right, so let's change the font to be Arial Black. So I'm going to come down to my character panel, which is still showing. Just type Arial Black. And we're going to go ahead and change the size to 30 points because this is huge. Still at 146 from before. Great. And now I just kind of want to center it a little bit. So, oh, and I actually want to change the actual text. So I want it to say, New Earth. All right, I'm going to click the selection tool. And now this bracket down here, if I click on it, I can slide and put the text kind of where I want it. And I want it. Let's see, did I go too far around? Yep, I went inside instead of outside. Also, I'm going to undo that, Control Z. So rather than when I dragged it inside, the text went on the inside of the path. I'm going to keep it on the outside, just like that. So if I drag it on the inside, it comes on the inside. If I drag it on the outside, it goes on the outside. I don't want it on the inside, I want the outside. To play around a little bit. Great, that's where I want it. All right, so now we're going to move this text back over to the right. So Object, Transform, Move, and we're going to move it a positive 5.5 this time. And this time we actually are going to move it. We're not going to leave a copy of it. We're just going to actually move it over. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. All right, so I still have everything selected, and this time you're going to need to see some extra options in your character panel. So on your character panel, hit your panel, and right here, you're going to see show options. It'll show everything else that you need down here. We're going to look for the set the baseline shift, which is right here. You can hover over it, and we're going to change it to 16. Now keep an eye on this text as we change it. All right, so it popped out ever so slightly, kind of went out in all directions from the path. All right, now we're going to verify that our circle is still selected, and we're going to set the fill color for the type. Okay, so come over here to the fill color, and we're going to change it to 0005, which is a super light gray. And now our text is a very light gray. I know it looks white, but it's not. Okay, let's double click our, and then we're also going to apply a 1-point black stroke. One, there we go, and it's black stroke. Great, so now you can see my text has a black stroke over it. Now let's rotate it. So I'm going to double click my rotate tool, and I'm going to put 180 over here. If I hit tab, kind of takes my settings, so I can always uncheck and check my preview. So if I rotate it, it will go all the way down there. It rotates 180 degrees. But I actually want to keep my original and have one down below, so I'm going to choose copy. Great. Now let's select everything. Select all, and we're going to rotate everything to be 20. 20. This time we're not going to do a copy. We just want everything to be at an angle here, and we're going to hit OK. Let's hit the select tool, deselect everything. Let's get rid of some of my windows, and your finished product should look something like this. And that is the end of our skills review.